In 2013, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the average American adult spends 8.8 hours a day working or doing work-related activities. The survey found that people spend most of their day working than doing anything else, including sleep. And these findings indicate that people spend a majority of their time at work. Therefore, the relationships that are formed in the workplace can be extremely important. By better understanding types of workplace friendships and what factors contribute to their development, researchers will be able to make recommendations about how to build and maintain healthy workplace friendships. In turn, people may experience more positive relationships in the workplace, which will make for better organizational environments. A friendship is a relationship with someone that continues over time. Often these friendships are actively maintained, and in this case, this kind of relationship occurs in the workplace, according to Morrison in 2009. Peer relationships, or peer co-worker relationships, occur between people who work together that are on the same status level, and neither member has more power than the other, according to Science in 2005. Feely, Wang, and Barnett in 2008 note that peer relationships are involuntary and they're not always friendships. However, these relationships can develop and potentially reach higher levels of intimacy. This paper addresses the research on workplace friendships to explore different types of some of the reasons why these relationships are beneficial to organizations. There are 3 different points to consider when learning about workplace relationships. First are the factors that lead to workplace friendships, the different types of workplace friendships, and then the organizational outcomes of these relationships. So let's start by looking at the factors that can lead to workplace friendships. There are a variety of factors that can lead to the initiation and development of these friendships. As defined by Riordan and Griffith in 1995, friendship opportunity is defined by the ability of employees to get to know one another on an informal level. Employees that felt there was a high friendship opportunity in their workplace were more likely to express being highly satisfied with their job. An obvious reason for the beginning of the friendship is in an organizational setting is physical proximity, as it can lead to more interaction between employees. Burge and Baxter in 1992 found that people tended to become friends first based on proximity to each other. Connections can be made when employees are spatially near one another, for example, if their cubicles or offices are in the vicinity of each other, according to Sias, Peterson, Gallagher, and Kobaneva in 2012. Sias and Cahill in 1998 discuss how lines of communication are open when employees work together on projects or tasks. This study also established shared tasks, physical closeness, and plans outside work as contextual factors that lead to friendships. And these contextual factors were found to be the most influential in the development and transition of friendships in the workplace. Furthermore, Gordon and Hartman in 2009 found that trust is gained by working together and depending on one another, and this trust eventually leads to more communication and a greater chance for friendship. Because workplace friendships are voluntary, they can begin as a result of people believing they have similar views or traits, according to Sias et al. In 2012. Co-workers may use affinity-seeking strategies, which Gordon and Hartman in 2009 defined as tactics used to increase the likelihood of relationships. These strategies include things like seeking commonalities or pleasing others as a way to begin a friendship with someone. Strategies are also used to maintain these relationships after they have begun. Sias et al. In 2012 found that relationship maintenance is an ongoing process in which peers talk regularly as a way of growing their friendships. Peers were more likely to use maintenance techniques and affinity-seeking strategies as the relationship became more intimate in terms of information shared. Furthermore, highly developed peer relationships tended to display more open communication, according to Gordon and Hartman in 2009. There's also a need for social support within the workplace, and friendships can provide a sense of camaraderie, according to Fritz in 1997. Feely, Wang, and Barnett in 2008 defined social support as the communication between coworkers that provides an outlet for advice or comfort. Support can be needed in various situations, both personal and organizational. Sias and Cahill in 1998 discuss how difficult it can be to separate your work life from your personal life. And women tend to befriend coworkers when they're feeling stressed, according to Morrison in 2009. Coworkers may become friends when a supervisor or boss is treating other workers negatively, according to Sias and Cahill in 1998. Specifically, Sias and Cahill note that one woman befriended her coworker because of negative attention the coworker was receiving from her boss. Personal illness or life milestones were also reported as factors that contribute to the development of relationships. These events prompted more communication between employees. So after reviewing the various reasons for the initiation of workplace friendships discussed by Sias and Cahill in 1998, Sias et al. In 2012, Fritz in 97, and Gordon and Hartman in 2009, and Bridge and Baxter in 92, it's clear that friendships are a result of different factors within the workplace. Just like friendships are formed from various circumstances, there are several different types of workplace friendships. So there's many types. There are also different levels that these friendships may eventually reach. Furthermore, there are gender differences in work relationships as well as occasionally negative aspects. Workplace friendships may lead to people managing dual roles, according to Bridge and Baxter. Dual roles are personal and work roles that combine in friendships with coworkers. And this means having two different roles or two different parts to play within one relationship. Coworkers may often form friendships regardless of power levels. So these types of relationships are referred to as supervisor and subordinate relationships, according to Gordon and Hartman. Even though the power levels are different, members of high-quality supervisor and subordinate relationships tend to work more as a team toward goals, and these relationships inspire a team mentality, according to SIAS. On the other hand, low-quality relationships not only make employees feel insecure or jealous, but they can also lead to rivalry within the workplace, according to Gordon and Hartman. Bridge and Baxter in 92 discussed tensions that can arise between supervisor and subordinate relationships, noting that there's a blurring of boundaries that can lead to role confusion within the relationship. For instance, too much open communication could mean sharing confidential information with a subordinate. As mentioned earlier, a need for support can be one of the main reasons that coworkers form friendships. Bridge and Baxter in 92 named the most challenging dialectic between workplace friends as judgment and acceptance. This dialectical tension lies in the struggle between support and competition. So a friendship between two coworkers may become complicated when they are competing for the same position, and in this case, they may not be able to rely on one another for support or advice. As defined by SIAS and Cahill in 1998, peer friends voluntarily spend time together. These relationships go beyond working together and turn into friendships that exist outside the workplace and in social settings. There are three different types of peer relationships, and these relationships are categorized by levels of trust and intimacy, according to Gordon and Hartman. Peer relationships differ from workplace friendships in that they are strictly formed between employees of the same rank, not between a manager and a supervisor and a subordinate. The communication context in a peer relationship is often based solely on organizational matters. However, peers can eventually discuss personal matters as their levels of intimacy and trust increase. Gordon and Hartman, Fritz and SIAS all discussed the three different peer types, which are information, collegial, and special. The most common type of a peer relationship is the information peer, according to Fritz in 1997. These peers typically communicate about work-related topics only, according to Gordon and Hartman. And this type of relationship is similar to a low-quality supervisor-subordinate relationship where the communication is superficial and it's low in depth and breadth. Information peers are the lowest level of peer friendships. Collegial peers tend to discuss a wider range of topics and provide more support, according to SIAS in 2005. Coworkers in this type of relationship are likely to share more information about each other and consult each other for advice. There's more trust in a collegial peer relationship than there is in an information peer relationship, and these peers also tend to show more of their personality to one another. Special peers have the highest level of trust and intimacy, and these peers tend to act as a support system to one another and tend to consult each other for decisions and feedback, according to SIAS in 2005. Special peers exhibit the highest levels of information sharing, according to Fritz in 97. And again, according to SIAS, employees who had higher levels of peer friendships, so collegial and special peers, they received better information in the workplace. Feely et al. In 2008 found that close relationships were not as important to the participants of their study. And their findings showed that employees cared more about the number of friends they had at work rather than the quality of those relationships. This suggests that employees might feel more comfort if they have multiple people around them that will provide support at any time. However, it's important to note that this study was conducted in a fast food restaurant where turnover rates can be higher. SIAS in 2005 discusses the importance of having friends in the workplace that can provide you with information. Not having any connections or relationships could mean missing out on potentially vital information. In supervisor-subordinate relationships, both information and the kind of information shared define the quality of that relationship. So organizational information can vary throughout the different peer types. Collegial and special peers reported sharing more valuable information, where information peers were more restricted in what they shared with each other. So there are some gender differences between workplace friendships. Fritz in 1997 actually found that men, more than women, valued information peers, where women placed more value in their special peer relationships. Furthermore, men were more likely to engage in activities in a social setting with their information peers. Morrison in 2009 reported that women care more about the emotional support that they receive from relationships at work, but men tend to look for relationships that will benefit their careers in the long run. Men do not look for support as much as they look for partnerships to get the job done. Also, men were found to value cohesion in work groups and work relationships more than women. And this is logical considering when Morrison in 2009 also found that men are more task-oriented. More cohesion leads to more efficiency. Similarly, Fritz in 1997 found that men focus on achieving task goals. Women in collegial peer relationships reported that their peer actually had an impact on them as a person, according to Fritz in 1997. Both men and women reported that having peers at work made things more interesting and more enjoyable. Even though there are many positive aspects of workplace relationships, that does not mean that problems can't occur. Litwin and Haustein in 2007 researched what they called the underside of female friendships in an organization. They conducted their research by interviewing a small group of professionally successful women, and their findings indicated that women often feel hurt and discouraged after experiencing the underside of a workplace relationship because of the stereotypical gender expectations they hold of women in general. The thwarting of this idealized view results in feelings of anger and frustration because the hurtful act was so unexpected. Many women in these situations tend to self-censor to avoid conflict and to keep the relationship intact. This makes sense when considering that Morrison in 2009 found that women value friendships in the workplace so much that they would be willing to leave the organization if they feel they don't have any friends there. If avoiding a confrontation will maintain a friendship, it's not surprising that women would often do this. However, it was found that men were not likely to leave the organization over a lack of workplace friendships. So the information reviewed the qualities of supervisor-subordinate relationships, the different types of peer relationships, including information, collegial, and special, and also discussing the qualities of workplace friendships along with gender differences. It's evident that there are many different types of workplace friendships that exist in organizational settings. And these different friendships can affect organizations in many different ways. So let's move into the organizational outcomes. Workplace friendships can lead to positive feelings among employees in relation to their organization. Riordan and Griffith in 1995 found that friendship opportunity, job satisfaction, and organizational commitment all shared a connection. Organizations may actually benefit from workplace friendships, particularly if employees feel there is freedom to get to know their peers. Feely et al. In 2008 found that intent to leave the organization was lower among people who found that they had more friends at work. Friendships can affect a person's commitment to their organization as well. Riordan and Griffith in 1995 defined organizational commitment as an employee's dedication to the organization. This is the overall feeling a person has about where they work, who they work with, and who they work for, according to Morrison in 2009. Similar to this is the concept of job satisfaction. Job satisfaction is a person's feeling about their specific job and role and how much they enjoy their work, according to Morrison in 2009. Intention to leave and turnover rates are the feelings that people have about leaving the organization and the rate at which they successfully leave their job, according to Morrison in 2009. In several studies, job satisfaction was found to be linked to job turnover rates. By studying turnover rates in a fast food restaurant, Feely et al. In 2008 found that people who felt closer to their peers and felt that they had a lot of peers at work were less likely to leave because they felt such strong support. And similarly, after studying employees working in an electric plant, Riordan and Griffith in 1995 found that when employees feel freedom and opportunity to form friendships with their coworkers, the more likely they are to feel satisfied. Friendship opportunity was the most important concept in this study, and in turn, higher satisfaction led to lower turnover rates. Another positive outcome of workplace friendships was the feeling of stronger organizational commitment. Morrison in 2009 found that employees felt more committed to their organization if they had a strong connection with their coworkers. This commitment leads to a better connection with the organization and can also mean employees take more pride in their work or they work harder. Morrison in 2009 and Bridge and Baxter in 1992 discussed how stronger workplace friendships lead to better work group cohesion. and this can result in better productivity and higher chances of making goals. Workplace friendships connect employees to their organization on a deeper level and can lead to higher feelings of job satisfaction. These higher feelings of job satisfaction can lead to lower turnover rates and higher commitment. So this leads me into the summary and future research. So workplace relationships can begin with friendship opportunity. Employees that are able to initiate these relationships are more likely to be satisfied, according to Gordon and Griffith. Gordon and Hartman, 2009, Sias and Cahill in 98, Birch and Baxter in 92, and Sias in 2012 all discuss the different ways that workplace friendships are formed, including proximity, the need for support, perceived similarities, and opportunity. According to Sias and Cahill in 98, Gordon and Hartman in 2009, and Sias et al. In 2012, along with Sias in 2005, there's different types of peer relationships. The researchers also discussed the supervisor-subordinate qualities of workplace friendships. Sias 2005, Litwin and Housing 2007, Morris in 2009, and Fritz in 97 discussed the gender differences in goals and values, such as task goals and interpersonal goals, and the effect that those can have on workplace friendships. Research suggests that workplace friendships can mean less turnover within an organization and higher levels of commitment and greater job satisfaction overall. So I've come up with one hypothesis, which is that workplace friendships that exist over time will lead to greater cohesion of coworkers and higher organizational productivity. So next, moving into the limitations, Sias and Cahill in 98 suggest longitudinal studies to determine long-term effects of workplace friendships could be beneficial in order to discover more information. None of the present research was conducted over a length of time. A longitudinal study would potentially present more detailed information about long-term outcomes of workplace friendships. So if more information is available, organizations will be more likely to promote workplace friendships. Fritz in 97 suggests research on cross-sex relationships to discover how these concepts may differ. Fritz and Morrison are the only studies that compared and contrasted workplace friendships according to gender. There was very little to no presented research about cross-sex workplace friendships. So based on these limitations, I've developed two research questions. How do cross-sex workplace friendships differ from same-sex? And also, are cross-sex workplace friendships more or less beneficial than same-sex friendships? So in conclusion, this paper reviewed the factors that lead to workplace friendships, the different types of workplace friendships, and the benefits and outcomes of these friendships on the organization. Also, this paper presents limitations and suggestions for future research. These ideas were used to explain why workplace friendships are beneficial within the workplace. It's important to have a better understanding of workplace friendships and how they can positively affect organizational experiences because of the time that people spend in their workplace. Understanding how these friendships form and what needs to be done to maintain them will potentially help organizations promote workplace friendships and allow employees to find support systems within their organization. Thank you.